Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Athabasca University's Doctorate in Business Administration DBA webinar. My name is Farid Nordin. I'm the Manager of Strategic Recruitment and Enrollment for the Faculty of Business. Before we get started today, I just want to make sure that you can see the screen and you can hear me okay. So the way we can communicate via this webinar is through the questions box. I see that Suzanne has posted something here. So Suzanne, if you can hear me, just do a quick note. Oh, I think perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. It's always great to hear that I'm not speaking in a vacuum. Okay, so with that, joining me today is the interim DBA program director, Dr. Haider Alvi. So he'll be more than happy to take any questions you may have about the program. So before we get started, I just want to say that Athabasca University is Canada's online university, and we are proud to welcome a diversity of learners from all over Canada. We respectfully acknowledge that we live and work on the traditional lands of the Indigenous peoples of Canada, and we honor the ancestry, heritage, and gifts of Indigenous peoples and give thanks to them. As we gather today, I am in Treaty 6 territory, which encompasses 17 First Nations, including the Dene, Silene, Cree, Nakota Sioux, and Saulteaux peoples. I believe Dr. Haider is on the East Coast, and Haider, feel free to share where you're calling us from today.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, hi everyone, sorry my webcam's not working. So I am calling from Toronto, where I am in the traditional lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. And so that's where I'm at.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so here's a quick overview of what we'll go through today in today's webinar. We have about an hour, so we hope to get to your questions as much as we can. And also to just give you a heads up, you can download a copy of this presentation right now by going to the handout section on your screen. You can download a PDF of this presentation so you can make notes on it, so you don't have to feel that you need to see all of this. So you can download the PDF right now. So we're going to go, so briefly we're talking about Athabasca University, the DBA program, the admission requirements, application process, and research in the Faculty of Business. So here's a quick snapshot of Athabasca University. Who are not familiar with us, we are Canada's Open University. We excel in online learning and distance education with over 43,000 learners in over 980 courses that ranges from undergraduate courses, master's courses, and to the 2 doctorate programs we have at AU. We are one of 4 comprehensive academic research universities, or CARU, based in Alberta. In terms of accreditations, your degree from AU is fully recognized by the Government of Alberta, Ministry of Advanced Education, by Middle States Commission on Higher Education in the US, and we're also part of the Advanced Collegiate Schools of Business, or AACSB, which is an international body that only grants up to 6% of the top world's business schools have this prestigious AACSB accreditation. So we are proud to be part of that that distinguished group of educators and provider of business education. We're also a member of the Executive DBA Council, or EDBAC. And here's a quick history about the DBA program. It is Canada's first online program, launched in 2009. So we've been doing this for quite some time. The DBA program is for you to conduct management research so that you can have direct impact on organizations, leading edge research in management with real life world experiences. Our collaborative 24-hour learning tool makes it easy for you to do the courses due to the asynchronous delivery model. So you do not have to be in front of your computer at any given time or date. It's asynchronous. The courses are paced, so you do have a scheduled start and end dates. The focus of the DBA program is on the practical application of research to managerial settings. And this helps students prepare for potential academic careers or in your own consulting field. And why AU? As I mentioned before, we are leader in open online and digital learning environment. We've been around since 1970. We offer flexibility and support from professors, IT staff, library, and other team members. The ability for you to work with life balance and study at the same time. The reputation of the AU Faculty of Business for those who are calling from international places, for your desire to have a Canadian degree. And also we have strong partnerships and collaborations. This is particularly with the MBA program, with the CPA, Supply Chain Management Association, and the College of Health Leaders. So again, we are a public university, and we report to the government of Alberta through the Ministry of Advanced Education. Here's a snapshot of the DBA profile currently we have in the program. Currently, we have about 51 students in the program and 54 alumni. The average age of our students is around 47, and the age range can be between 32 to 65 years old. And here's a breakdown of where our students are in their professional lives. 40% are coming from the private sector, 30% from government and non-for-profit or retiree, 30% would be from academia. And the attrition rate is about around 29%, which is the lowest if compared to other universities program or other DBA programs out there, which is more around 50%. And the gender ratio is about 57% male and 43% female. And here's a snapshot of our largest DBA graduates in 2018 at our convocation. Okay, so the next bunch of slides, I'm going to turn to Haider to talk about why the DBA program and why it is important for you to think of pursuing a DBA program with Athabasca University. Kai, are you ready?
Yeah, hi. Can you see me?
Yes. No,
okay.
We cannot see you. That's fine.
No?
Because
okay.
But you can see my screen, right?
Well, yeah, I can see you. And anyway, and I can see the shared screen.
Okay, perfect.
So hi everyone, welcome. And I've been, just a quick intro of myself. I've been at AU for over 5 years, and like many of you, I presume, I came out of industry. So I had a career in finance before I did a PhD, which was in Europe. And so I understand the journey of going from career to doing a doctorate. And so why the DBA? Just as the slide says, we all have different motivations. Some of us do it for more professional credibility, that we're in meetings, we're in our careers, and people respect the fact that we have more knowledge. We've gone further in depth into our area of interest, and we've truly become subject matter experts. Some people really like having the doctor title in front of their name, and they find that helps them in their careers. But for myself, I would say personal development was the biggest thing for me, that I could use the doctorate as a reflection of my previous experience, my previous life, and make a contribution to business, government, society. For me, I do research, but I also sit on boards, and I find being able to take industry experience and combine it with a doctorate degree and research to give me, yeah, something unique to say, something unique to offer. And what's the difference between a PhD and a DBA? There are a lot of DBAs out there, and I just want to emphasize ours is a very, I would say, high quality program. There isn't a lot that separates us from a PhD. The main difference is in terms of looking for a contribution to theory. A typical PhD will emphasize that quite a bit, to say that, you know, you have your research question, it's grounded in the literature, and you're going to go gather data, you test the data, and you make an original contribution. That's all fine. We do that. You will do that if you're a DBA student, and that's the exact same as a PhD. The difference is you may or may not choose to make a contribution to theory. And you will use theory. It will be part of your dissertation, but in our DBA, we're not expressly looking for that contribution. And sorry, my phone rang. Yeah, it's more about applied. That the big contribution we're looking for in the DBA is you're making an applied contribution to practice, to what you do as a manager.
Okay, I think the next slide for you, Haider, as well, to talk about just about the research that the DBA students would do at AU.
Yeah, absolutely. You notice there's a difference in the photo. That's not me. That's Kai. So I'm the interim head. I am not Kai Lammerts. Kai and I are very good friends, and we co-author together. So I'm happy I can stand in for him. You know, that first line there, I think, is good to emphasize that it's based on the interest of students, not professors. So in North America, typically a lot of PhD programs, you're admitted, and the professor who you work with, you're on some level supporting their research, and you're continuing in that thread that they're working on. At AU, it's not about what I'm researching. I supervise several students, but they do very different things than what I do. And it's their interest that comes first. I am, of course, qualified to supervise them because it's in some kind of adjacent area. I may not be 100% familiar with the literature, but honestly, no one is. And that's part of the joy of being in academia, that you're always learning new things. So the role of a supervisor is to coach your student and get them to follow their interest and clear the bar and make their contribution and get their degree. So we have a 3-person supervisory committee. You'll have a supervisor, and then you'll have one other internal at AU, and then an external committee member. As I mentioned earlier, it's highly related to practice. So people typically will do something in their area of managerial expertise, and that's convenient because they have data. They have access to data, or they can get data from their workplace or previous workplace, or they know the lay of the land. And we have a very broad range of topics that are covered. Finance, accounting, marketing, HR, strategy. I have one student right now who's working on governance, really interesting study on how boards of directors respond to social movements like Me Too or the George Floyd thing. Another student who's an accountant and working on social accounting. How do you measure things that don't fit neatly into a T account? And that's very interesting. So, Fareed, you want to go to the next slide? That's enough there. So in terms of, this is for me, right, Fareed?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, in terms of what a DBA can do for you, in practice. So this idea of expanding your competencies through management research is kind of a real thing. I spent over 10 years as a banker, and I was researching finance type things. And what I do in a boardroom now, based on my research, is quite different. It's more on sociology and transnational governance, and it's relevant to multinational businesses. So it expands your competencies. You're building on what you have, but you're pushing your own boundaries to go a little further. It gives you the ability to assess and evaluate management research. What does that mean? Well, we live in an age of social media and fake news, and there's all this stuff that's out there. How do you, and ChatGPT now, how do you really know what the good stuff is? And as a researcher, as a doctorate, you're able to understand that this is a good study, this is a bad study. And just because there's one study doesn't necessarily mean it is the truth, but you follow the thread and you see that, well, no, actually there's 20 studies that are kind of saying this. So maybe I want to go in that direction. And you're able to, by the time you're done, be able to evaluate and have that critical lens to differentiate between what is meaningful and what isn't. And that subsumes, it includes having critical management, critical thinking skills, which are difficult to develop. And you think, for me, coming out as a manager, I was like, I'm an expert on everything in finance. You know, I've been in banking, I've done all this stuff, but I wasn't questioning my own assumptions as much. And by the end of my PhD, my doctorate studies, and then becoming a researcher, suddenly I was actually questioning the things that I had held to be true for a long time based on my experience. Conducting scholarship on management practice, that's kind of the fun stuff, where you're able to take research and say, well, how does this work in practice? So things like case studies or actively participating in boards and being able to apply your research is interesting. And that's part of communicating them, disseminating your findings. And some of that happens to a general audience as well. So there's a publication out there called The Conversation, which AU faculty are encouraged to publish in. And that's edited by journalists, but you have to be an academic to actually write in it. And it's 900-word articles, and it's written like an op-ed. There's hyperlinks in there to research. So you know, I'll write things, send them to people, like, oh, that was a great opinion piece. And so like, actually, that's not opinion. That's based on research. But you're able to communicate something instead of just to a small group of researchers to literally millions of people around the globe, depending on who picks that up. Solutions to business organizational problems. This is, again, a lot of the board stuff that I do. I see a direct implication for that. Enhancing professional credibility. I never ask people to call me doctor, but some people do, and they seem to like it. So I'm not going to, stand in their way. But it does add to credibility, and this satisfaction from higher level learning. For me, doing a doctorate was the best move I made, in my life. So it's really added so many dimensions to my whole life. So I'll stop with that.
Okay, thank you, Haider. Okay, the next one will also for you. You're going to talk about the program structure. So I think we have a lot of questions here in the program structure. Give me 1 minute. I'm just going to take you to the slide here. Here we go.
Okay, so year one, we have this great in-person orientation. We just had it last month, where the whole program comes. And so the new students, the new cohort, the existing students, and there are various classes, seminars. This goes on for about 5 days, 6 days, and it's a lot of fun. And you all get to meet in person, interact. And I think most importantly for the newer students is you get to hear the ones ahead of you present their research. So you get this clear idea of like, oh, this is where I am going to end up, or I need to end up. And of course, you develop networks, contacts. These students, as a professor, we kind of have one dinner together with them, and then they pretty much ignore us. They're off on their own, and then that becomes their support group. So even though they're located in different places around the world, they stay in touch. And each cohort typically has a weekly catch-up call where they, are talking about the courses they're doing and also their own research. So in the first year, you start off with a bang doing an organization theory course, Conceptual Foundations of Organizational Research, which I think is exciting for a lot of students. Like, oh, this is how academics talk, or they write, how they think. And it's like this different vocabulary that you have to get used to. Then 801, that's the course that I teach, which takes that really abstract introduction and puts it more narrowly in terms of what is actually your research question. What are you going to study, and what makes for a good research question? And you learn things like doing a literature review. You write a literature review by the end of the course, and hopefully you understand that it's not just, well, I'm interested in this and therefore I'm going to do this, and that's enough. In fact, you need to be addressing a gap in the literature. So you're looking at knowledge that's out there in your area of interest, and what you think might be a gap might have already been done. There already might be an answer. That actually happened to me. It took me 6 months to figure that out during my first year. But you take your interest and say, oh, but there's this other area that maybe is a little bit adjacent, and there's a gap. And the literature will say, like, we need more research on this. And they say, oh, okay, well, I'll go do that. So it's your area, but it's not your exact question, and you refine your question. So that's what happens in 801. And in 802, you start writing. So you've done the lit review in 801 and 802, you start getting things ready for a conference. Like, can you present something at a conference? This then leads to year 2. So you have the workshop again, and then you get into research methods, qualitative and quantitative. I think based on my 3 years so far, at least so far, it's been mostly qualitative research that I see, but we have many quantitative researchers, some of whom say, why can't we have more quantitative doctoral students? I want to supervise them. So we're open to anything. And then you start going more independent. Advanced readings is you start working with your supervisor. You'll have a supervisor by then, and you start going much deeper into your work. And by 3rd year, okay, you go to the workshop again, the September workshop, and the candidacy exam. So that's kind of like other universities call it a comprehensive exam, but that's where you put your research proposal forward. You have your committee members, your externals, and you defend it. And you say, well, this is now what I'm going to do. So you've basically done the whole front end, but you haven't collected data yet. And then they'll say, like, okay, well, this is good. This is what you need to work on. Eventually you'll get approved, and then you go gather your data, and then you have a result. And that's where you ultimately, sometime after that, you will do a dissertation defense of your actual findings. At the bottom there is up to 7 years to do it. Hopefully, it can be less, definitely be less. It all depends on you and your degree of engagement and how well you and your supervisor are working and moving things along.
Great, thank you. I wonder whether this is a good time to maybe answer some questions. Just trying to look at, we have lots of questions here. Let me see before we go to, maybe we'll do one more section, Haider, and then we'll pause for questions and answers. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, let's go on to the next one, which is the learner experience and what is required from students to be successful in the program.
Yeah. So I won't just read off the slides. I fully appreciate how hard it is having a job, having family, whatever else is going on in your life, and then especially in the first year, finding the time to do the coursework. And it is, it's not it's a challenge, right? And people work very hard. But you have the support group of your cohort, and I think people egg each other on. And the one thing I learned coming to AU is our asynchronous online model, the discussion boards that we use, they're very engaging. So you really can do it on your own time. The courses are 10 weeks long, delivered online, as I mentioned. I talked about the orientation, the research conference workshop. Happens at in September. There's a separate graduate research conference that's university-wide. That's quite a big thing as well. We encourage our students to participate in that. That is either hybrid, so it's hybrid, so either online or in person. And those are actually pretty good. I do it as a professor, not the student one, but there's a faculty one, and I really I get a lot out of it. And yeah, so you're following your own interests. Doing a doctoral degree anywhere is kind of a solitary, lonely experience. It's just you. But I think what's different here is you do have a lot of people to talk to, and it's often online. As I mentioned, some of the cohorts meet every week, just virtually. They have a TGIF, a Friday drink or whatever they do. So I think there's a good amount of support, more so than there was in my doctoral program, and that was an in-person program.
Okay, great. Thank you, Haider. So let's take some questions here. Just trying to see, just trying to go through the questions and just find the appropriate ones for the topics that we just covered. Give me 1 minute. I'm just going to go through here. So there's one about exams. Are there exams in the program? I don't think there is, but if you can confirm, that'd be great.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, there's your comprehensive exams, right? So there are, I mean, your candidacy exam. So that is, but it's a different kind of exam.
Yeah.
Right. So it's along the way the coursework that you do is graded, but it's more like essays. Yeah. I can't really speak to the quantitative research methods, how 803 goes. Yeah, but this isn't an undergraduate program or an MBA program where like, well, here's your test. But there are DBA programs out there, which is maybe why this question is being asked, where you go and it's just like taking a regular course and you do a test at the end of class. That's not what we're doing here.
Yeah. A question regarding the lessons. Are the lessons guided with due dates, like an online continuing education program, or is it more self-directed? I believe
they are paced. They're definitely paced. So in year 1, year 2 courses, when you get to advanced readings, that's different. So 805 is you and your supervisor, and that a student really is setting the pace on that, like how quickly they are working, and if they're writing drafts, how quickly the supervisor turns them around and gives comments, right? But 800 through 804 are 10 weeks. So you have your deadline. You get the entire course package at the beginning of the term, and every module, every 10, each of those 10 weeks, within all those materials, we'll say, okay, these are the readings you have to do. This is a study guide, if the professor has added comments, and then you have discussion questions. And every Sunday, usually by midnight, everyone has to submit online onto the discussion board your answers to that question. And then you'll have a discussion amongst yourselves with the professor. Like I'm in my class, I'm part of those discussions. And then that goes on till Wednesday. So you'll have kind of 3 days of discussion on that, and you're getting graded. So I'm grading the quality of submissions and the quality of discussion. And sometimes I'll prompt students. So I can share to the whole group, or I can share individually. So sometimes a student needs a little more guidance, and I'll say like, hey, maybe you could say a little more about this or whatever, and hopefully they rise to the occasion. And then so that's kind of 3 days of discussion, and then you have time for the next module, and then you'll have 3-4 days to submit on the following Sunday. So by the end of the course, you have like all of these posts that you've written as initial responses and discussion with each other, and it's a great way to learn. The quality of discussion I find is very high. I'm a little bit of a dinosaur, I've gone to very traditional universities. That was my whole experience, and this is not about who raises their hand first or who talks the most, right? And the extroverts who are always talking. This is like someone's posted something and you have a chance to think about it. You're like, oh, okay, I'm going to respond to this, but I'm not sure. And a few hours go by, or maybe the next day, you watch how discussion happens, and then you can you research your own stuff. You have your own sources, and your own citations, and then you post your answer. So it's a very high quality learning experience. I find. Yeah.
And are there assignments in addition to these discussions?
Yeah, well, in my course, you call it an assignment, right? There's 4 assignments, which are your big posts, but at the end, there's a big one, which is your literature review. So that's the other thing. Like as these courses are going on, so 801, 802, you're actually writing a section that you hopefully will be able to use in your dissertation itself. So for 801, it's your literature review, which is a big deal. But some students kind of end up, they do that. Okay, I've submitted it, and then they kind of go a different way, and you can do that too.
Right.
Then you're going to be doing something different. But yes, there are assignments, like a big final project that you will typically have to do, but that big project is something that will slot in as a section of your thesis, typically.
On the topic of thesis, does it need to be original, or are there circumstances where you can have where it had been done before, but maybe with a slight twist?
Well, boy, that's a difficult question. So that's I mean, on the face of it, generally, I would say no. It has to be original work. But if ethically, you're able to show that you're taking that as a foundation and doing original work on top of that, there may be an argument there, but I can't answer that as a hypothetical. I mean, I think that there'd have to be more of a discussion around that. I mean, typical doctoral programs, people do a master's degree first, and that master's thesis is used for the thesis. So I wouldn't rule it out, but we don't have that kind of master's to master's to DBA step. So I think it'd be on a case by case basis, and yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but I can't. Yeah.
Okay, so one last question here about this section is about learning materials. I know that we have e-text that students get, but how about books and the publication dates and all that? Could you maybe touch on that briefly?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there are, at this level, not really textbooks, maybe quant methods. I don't know what goes on quant, so maybe I should speak to that. But it's a combination of scholarly articles and usually high impact, good journals published, somewhat recently, depending, except 800 might be like the seminal articles that form the field. But certainly in my course, it's, so I'm kind of cherry picking articles that are useful, but there are also 3 books that I assign. So there's readings from those, and then book chapters. So it's I would say highly curated in terms of what the professor is trying to achieve, and it changes from year to year. Like I was telling Fareed earlier, I just spent this morning like changing part of the course, 801 based on previous years. So I think people keep things current, and we're trying to do better for our students. And I think DBA professors tend to be highly motivated. We're researchers. We love this stuff, and helping doctoral students on their own journey is like, it's good for the soul, so we're trying. Yeah,
great. Okay, thank you. So looking at the time here, we do have about half an hour left, so let's go through the admission requirements. I'm just going to go here. So for those of you who are looking to apply to the DBA program, we only offer this program once a year. The application deadline is March 15th, 2025 for the September 2025 intake. And you can find the complete admission requirements and application package requirements on our website. So all the links you see in blue in your PDF is linkable to our website. So for the admission requirements, we do require an MBA or equivalent master's degree from an accredited university, an acceptable university level course in statistics. We do have the undergraduate level stats course at AU that you can do online, such as Math 215, Math 216, or MGSC 301. An expression of research interests between 500 to 1,000 words, that is a key component to your application package, whereby you would need to express the area that you're looking to do your research on based on some background that you have done through your own research. 5 or more years of significant management or professional work experience, 3 reference letters, preferably 2 business and 1 academic reference letters. If your degree is an international degree, then you may require to submit an English language proficiency exam scores, such as TOEFL or IELTS. And yeah, and GMAT is not required to be for this program. Okay, let's see. I know Donna is online here, so I'm not sure whether Donna has anything else to add, but Donna, you can let me know by chatting with me, and I can definitely pass on some messages to our audience today. Okay, so it's Muna's have an MBA from UK. Does it still need English language proficiency? No, Muna, that's fine. If your MBA is from UK, then yeah, your English language proficiency is acceptable, but we do require that your MBA to be evaluated for a Canadian degree equivalency, such as from IQUAS, WES, or ICAS. So make sure that you have that evaluation done before you submit your application, because not all degrees from the UK or Australia or New Zealand is recognized in Canada. So just do that first step to get your equivalency done. In terms of supervision, yeah, so your potential supervisors and instructors from qualified academics, either with a PhD or DBA credentials. We have faculty and supervisors from around the world. And your topic is your own, as we mentioned. It's not based on the professor's own research goals. So AU involves supervisors and committee that have expertise in your research area. So that's something that you can be sure of. So I know there's a few questions here about, sorry, Kai, do you have something to add? Are you okay? Okay. In terms of research at the Faculty of Business, we do have the following departments that you see on the screen: accounting and taxation, economics, finance and operations management, marketing, entrepreneurship, and information systems, and organizational analysis. So if your research topic is falls in one of those areas, I recommend that you click on the links and meet the faculty members, because they potentially can be your supervisor in the DBA program. So be sure to kind of click us on the link and see for yourself who do you think can be a supervisor based on your area of interest, and you feel free to reach out to them as well, because they can more than happy to help you out. Let me see here. If there's any questions pertaining this before we go on to the next question. Okay, I have a question regarding my bachelor's official transcript. I have the WES evaluation for my bachelor's. Do I still need the official transcript or application? Yeah, I mean, the application requirements is an MBA, so you need to have an MBA or master's equivalent to apply to the DBA. So if your bachelor's, you have the official transcript, then you can submit that as well. But we look at the MBA or the master's equivalent. In terms of stats course, I have a bachelor's in computer. Okay, so you have an MBA. So yeah, so that MBA needs to be evaluated if it's not from Canada. Okay, the next question here is bachelor's in computer science, advanced math, calculus, stats. Would they work also? Do you accept WES? Yes, we accept the WES evaluation. that's not a problem. If you had done your stats course, it needs to be within 10 years though. So if it's more than 10 years, then you do need to do the math 215 to 16 or the 301, and it has to be pure math because it is a stats course of pure stats. Applied stats will not qualify. Okay. In terms of GPA, we don't look at the GPA for the DBA program. It is based, and your degree needs to be in MBA or equivalent, because the research that you have to do is in management, applied research in management. So that is what is how students get selected into the DBA program. And I have to say that DBA program is highly competitive. We only accept 10 students a year. So be sure that you meet the requirements and do a great job in your expression of research interest, because that can definitely tip the scale to your favor. Okay. I don't know. Haider, do you have anything to add about the application admission requirements or the quality of the students?
No, I'll just say, having sat on the admissions committee for several years now,
Yeah.
It's yeah, do a good job on your application. the good applications really stand out, and there's almost not unanimous, but the committee very quickly, you know, is able to say, oh, okay, these are the ones that stand out, and it's reassuring in a way, but it also shows the effort that students have put into their application and the originality of their ideas, you know, their interests that they're thinking of, you know, pursuing. So, yeah.
Right. Well, I have a question here about thesis proposal. So maybe could you maybe expand on that a bit higher, between the thesis proposal versus the expression of research of interest?
Expression of research.
Interest.
So we're talking about the candidacy exam?
No, we're talking about the admission requirements here.
Oh, admissions.
Because the
Sorry,
question
what's the question?
The question is, can a thesis proposal strengthen our application?
Oh, yeah. So okay. Well, I think it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you're basically saying this is what I'm interested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your ability to communicate that to a committee is what counts. So if you're thinking of submitting a 30-page thesis proposal, that might not actually help.
No.
Right? Because then it's like, okay, this is like a big thing. It's this completed work. So an abstract of an article, that's too short, right? 30 pages with like a bibliography of 5 pages, that's probably too long. So you want to find an in-between spot of being able to showcase your interest and persuade others around you, in this case the committee, that it's interesting and that someone would want to supervise that.
Yeah, actually, the requirements for the admission application package is between only 500 to 1,000 words. And if you go to our website, there's further explanation on what that looks like. Pretty much, the topic you like to research on, your research questions and potential managerial implications of your research area, personal or professional motivations that explain your research interest in that topic and why you believe doing research about it is important to you, and some background knowledge about the topic that you're proposing, using a combination of existing publications and applicant and your own experience. So again, it's not very, at this point, for your expression of research interest essay is to let the committee know why your research, the area of research that you're doing, why it's important to you, and what have you found out about that area, specific area of research interest that is of interest to you. So those are the 3 things that they are looking for in your essay. So all this information is on the website. I'm just going to paste this link to our website so that you can have a look at the requirements. So feel free to visit our website for more information. A question here, another question here about what does a Stellar application look like? Hyder, can you comment on
what application? Sorry?
A Stellar application.
Well, I think we've kind of touched on. Yeah, it's hard. There's no one formula. I'd say it's a combination of trying to understand the person, what is their life story, what is their background. Education is part of that background, but where do they live? Where have they worked? What happened at work that prompted this? Like, who later in life wants to go do a doctorate? Right? This is not ordinary people. These aren't ordinary people, right? Like, for fun, I'm going to go do a doctorate. So I think as a committee, we're trying to understand what's motivating this person. What experience have they had that's interesting? Why do they think it's interesting? And what's the burning question? What is the thing that's keeping them up at night that makes them want to do this? So it's highly idiosyncratic. I don't know how else to answer that, but what I will reiterate that there's generally pretty good consensus. So it when you see it, that okay, this is an interesting person with interesting experience, and they have this burning question, a legitimate, kind of like, I really want to do this, and you get excited reading the application, and you say, okay, this is someone who wants.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that, if you're listening in, make sure that you do meet the admission requirements. Again, I'm just putting it on, just showing the website when the information is there. So here's the admission requirements for the DBA program, which is under our calendar graduate calendar site. So just go through the admission requirements, because this is what you need to do for the first step. And then the second step, if you meet all of these requirements, then what you do for your application package, then you make sure that you do all of these steps as well. Your resume, your letters of reference, as I mentioned, the expression of research interest. This is the crux of your application, the 500 to 1,000 word expression of interest. Your official transcripts, how to send it over to us, and if your degree is from a non-English university, then you have to submit your English proficiency scores. And there is also the application fee that is also available on our calendar. And this is the link for you to start your DBA application. So all of this is very laid out very clearly on our website. So I encourage for you to have a look at it, and if you have any questions, feel free to get back to myself or to Hyder about anything that you're unclear about. So I'm seeing that we only have 10 minutes left in our presentation. I just want to kind of bring back to this concept of working in a vacuum. Even the program is online, it's asynchronous. You have a whole team behind you ensuring your success in the program, from the core faculty members that shape the overall direction of the DBA program, that oversees courses and coaching quality for all core and courses. Pardon me. Your academic coaches to help there to facilitate your active discussions and try to help you link the theory to practice, connect the dots, if you will. And our graduate enrollment advisors are here to help you out. I see Donna is online. So Donna is definitely your go-to person, anything related to the DBA program. Once you're in the program, we do have Donna as our go-to admin person to help you navigate your course schedules, your tuition payments, and all of that. We also have a dedicated IT help desk team to help you with your issues on getting online, getting you set up. Our course development and production team to help you with all the materials that you'll get throughout the course. Of course, you as a student, you have access to a full library to help you getting your journal and all your other extra materials you need for the program. Last but not least, we also have a student alumni relations team to help you stay connected with us and to share your success after the program. So this is your snapshot of your success team behind you to cheer you on. So I do recommend that you connect with us. Check out our DBA videos on our YouTube channel, and also some stories about our previous DBA alumni on the Athabasca University The Hub website, which is again always linkable through this PDF you get right now by downloading it under the handout section on your screen. Okay, and then in terms of the application deadline, the next intake is September 2025, and the application deadline is March 15th. So feel free to, again, read about the application process and read about the frequently asked questions should you have any questions. So again, my name is Farid Nordin. I'm the Manager of Strategic Recruitment and Enrollment for the Faculty of Business. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at business-support@athabascau.ca. Again, our email is business-support@athabascau.ca. Okay, I have questions here about funding. Great question about funding. We do have access to once you're in a program, you do have access to graduate funding that you can apply from scholarships, bursaries, awards. But keep in mind the scholarships and awards do not cover the entire tuition, so you do have to be a bit cognizant on how you want to do your funding. But you can apply for scholarships and awards and bursaries should you get accepted into the program. Student aid is definitely an option because we are a public university. The program is recognized by the province student aid office, so be sure to look into that as well. But keep in mind, sometimes depending on the time of year and the calendar, student aid funding may not always come on time, so you are expected to pay maybe up to 2 of the DBA courses upfront before your student aid application is successful and before you get reimbursed. So keep that in mind when you in the program. The student aid doesn't always come in on time, so you do have to pay out of pocket for maybe at least the first 2 courses in the program. Okay, in terms of the costs, again, it's all on our website. This I'm just gonna briefly show that to you right now. I'm gonna bring up on the website. Give me 1 minute here. Okay, so we go to I'm gonna navigate to the program. You go to our offerings, graduate programs, then you can see the DBA website over here. So in terms of tuition, we do have the programs fees tab. So this is where you can find the current tuition that the DBA program currently, the current tuition for the DBA program. So there's a 233 non-refundable application fee that you have to pay when you submit your application. And should you get accepted into the program, there is a 913 non-refundable admissions fee that is due upon admissions or acceptance in the program. And then you're looking at the first tuition starting from year 1 onwards. I'm just going to put this link into the chat. But again, on our website, you have more information that is available to you. Okay, given that we have about 4 minutes left, I just want to see if there's any last minute questions here. From Ryan, if each course is 10 weeks and 3 courses per year, are there no courses during the summer or some other point during the year? Great question, Ryan. I'm just going to again post the course schedule. You can take a look. Course schedule here. Give me 1 minute. Getting back here to the course schedule. So this is a course schedule. So we're looking at 2025, but given like some of the dates are not confirmed yet. So yeah, we started with orientation, and then DBA 800 starts from September 22nd to November 30th. But if you look at the previous years, I'm just going to go to 2023. You can see that the courses, for example, in year 2, year 1 even, 802 ends in June. So there are no summer courses per se. So each course courses are laid out per the schedule that you'll get in the program. Okay. I think we have. I see Donna there. Donna, do you have anything to add? Feel free to type it in the box, in a question box, or give me a quick chat, and I can convey that to you. Let me see here. Let me see. Funding. We talk about funding. We talk about application deadline. We talk about the application requirements, application package, funding, thesis. I think that's all. Haida, do you have anything to add before we wrap up this presentation today?
No, I just happened to look in the chat. Someone was asking about what boards I was on. I'm happy to connect with anybody on LinkedIn, so you can get the full background. I tried to put that in the chat. I don't know whether it showed up, but anyway, you have my. So.
Yeah, I'll copy it and put it in the regular chat here. Hold on. Yeah, it only went to organizers and panelists later. So
okay.
Let's see. Yeah, all audience. There we go. So now your LinkedIn is available to everybody who's listening right now. Okay, I think that is all we have for you today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at business-support@athabasca.ca, or you can give us a call at 1-800-561-4650, and we look forward to hear from you. So thank you, Haider, for your time and for your great insights about the program. Really appreciate it. And any last words?
Thank you, Farid, for your effort, and Donna for being on the call, and to all of you for your interest in Athabasca and our DBA.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in and for the great questions. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.